What's up everybody, this is Ven bringing you another MOC Spotlight where we take apart what you build. For today's episode we'll be going over Kairos, the Overseer, created and posted to our message boards by Shadowgear6335. Haha, I told you another one was coming. Now before we get started, let me remind you of my method of reviewing, which involves a point system that is based on 3 fundamental attributes: the overall appearance of the MOC, the build of the MOC itself, and the concept and ideas behind the MOC's creation. Each quality will mount up to 5 points, leading up to a final score that will be determined at the end of the episode. And please remember that this is all based on my opinion. So let's get this started. Now, ooh, look what we have here. It's like a big black and gold genie thing. Do people pray to genies? Is that a thing? Do people pray to genies like gods or something? I don't know. I'm looking at this thing and I feel like I gotta pray to it. I mean, it's just so impressive. I mean, first of all, it's a large MOC, which is not only cool because it immediately grabs your attention, but it also leaves room for a lot of detail to be put in. And well, would you look at that? There's a buttload of detail in this MOC. Shadowgear takes full advantage over the large canvas he has, because it's just not enough to have what would already be a very unique looking figure, because it's like half a big brutish looking humanoid figure sitting on top of a dreidel. And on top of that, we have this wide variety of gold parts that seem to mostly signify armor or decorations, and already it just looks very pretty. But that's not all. We also gotta mention the pink elephant in the room, or rather the pink studs that are kind of sprinkled all over here and there. Not only do these do wonders complementing the aesthetics of the MOC, but man, they make some parts really interesting. Just look at this midsection, like this little dome with the pink studs inside, kind of like energy or maybe even guts or something just kind of floating around in there. And then we got the same deal up here with the face, where this pink stuff is covered up by a clear apparatus. And immediately, I'm not sure what these could be at all, but I'd be lying if I said that they weren't the least bit intriguing. Another thing to really like about this MOC is just how consistent that some of these aesthetics are. Obviously there's the pink stuff, but I'm also talking about like this pattern that's seen along the waist, kind of resembling treads, which can also be seen here along the shoulders, which actually share this sort of round cylindrical shape with the forearms. You see what I'm saying? A lot of the same ideas in different places. Overall, I am really digging this design. It looks sleek and powerful. And if so far you find that this isn't enough for you, give him these 2 big hammers, then he can smash your head in until you think he's cool. But really, I guess if there was one thing that I had to complain about, would just be this little scaffolding on the bottom that holds the MOC up. I mean, I know it's necessary, because without it, the MOC would not be able to stand up. I mean, just look at it, it has no legs. So it is a nitpick more than anything, because I feel like it kind of distracts me from the actual MOC itself. No biggie, no biggie. But while we're on that subject, let's go ahead and take a look at some other aspects of this MOC's build. So we've already established that the MOC isn't exactly 100% stable, since it can't really stand on its own without this little scaffolding holding it up, and that's fine. I'm glad it's there so that the MOC can stand up at all, because I'd imagine it'd be pretty freaking lame if all this MOC could do is just lie down on the floor or on your desk or something. I mean, really? Come on. But if it could actually spin like a dreidel and then fall over, that would be pretty cool. But I don't think that's what this MOC is supposed to do. I don't think that MOC... Maybe it could do it. Shadowgear, I have a request. You need to make this happen. Take a video of this MOC spinning like a dreidel. I just want to see what happens. Even if it fails, I just need to know. But yeah, I can't really complain all too much when it comes to stability, because the rest of the MOC looks so solid as it is. From top to bottom, this MOC, like, man, every piece looks like it fits together so perfectly to form this natural shaping. And it's even crazier when you try to figure out how the heck he got this belly thing to work out. Like, it's just so well integrated and covered up. It's so difficult to figure out what exactly is going on here, and that's great. Same going for the design of the head. I mean, this is all so creative. I mean, I love the use of that clear mask. That just looks so good. And yet somehow the MOC is still articulated in the shoulders, the arms, of course, the neck, shoot, probably the waist. I mean, with this type of engineering, it's practically wizardry. Dude probably just graduated from Hogwarts to move on to become a Lego building enthusiast. In any other case, I'd probably say that's a bit underwhelming, but in this case, when the MOC is this good, I mean, not to mention that the MOC can also hold its own weapons with its own articulated fingers. And it looks like there's another connection in here that kind of secures the weapons in the hands. So all in all, the MOC's build is pretty great and all, but it is missing a function or play feature. Not like it really needs one, because conceptually it looks as though this MOC was purposefully meant to be put up on display more than anything. I mean, that's why it has these display stands, because you just want to pose this, put it on your desk, and leave it there to look cool. So I can't really fault Shadowgear for excluding any sort of function or play feature, because it's not really meant for that. It's not what he had in mind. So let's look at this taking into consideration what he did have in mind. So Shadowgear describes this MOC, or I guess I should say this character, as a deity of time, whose sole purpose is to make beings of other worlds interact, quote unquote. To create small pocket universes that house copied species and persons from other worlds into his own, also quote unquote. He has a more in-depth description up on the boards. But for now, let's hone in on that detail describing it as a deity of time, or a god of time, or a lord of time, or a mask of time. No. So, okay, what do we expect when we hear any of those words, any of those descriptions? A god, a deity of time, and such. So we expect something that looks powerful. We expect something that looks like capable of executing all of this power. And when it comes to this MOC, I gotta say, I could see it. Because really just the size and this overall aesthetic that the MOC has, like something about it just really gives me that impression that there's more to it than meets the eye. And I don't mean it's a transformer, but I mean that would be pretty freaking cool. Imagine if this thing could transform into a dreidel and then spin around. And in some aspects, I could also see this MOC being a representation of time with some aspects of its design. Wow, that almost rhymed. I mean, take another look at the big round waist and the shaping of the shoulder armor and all that. Looks pretty round, kind of like a clock. And then there's the texturing, which kind of makes these round objects look like gears. Gears like that of which are inside of a clock. You see where I'm getting at with this? Now let's take it even deeper. This round thing in the middle looks like it goes round and round, just like time. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. This thing looks like a dreidel. Dreidels spin around and around, just like how time moves on around. What's that? Too deep for you? Get out of here. Go back to the shallow water, my friend. That is where you are safest. And that's about as deep as I'm gonna get, because we're running out of time and I need to talk about scores. So, let's move on, shall we? In terms of appearance, this MOC receives a 5 out of 5. I mean, what else could I say? It's a really cool looking MOC. It's big and imposing and intricately detailed, and it's incredibly unique. And trust me, I've seen this MOC in person at Brick Fair, and man, it looks so much more impressive face to face. I also saw Shadowgear's face, which is also quite impressive. In terms of the build, this MOC receives another 5 out of 5. Not only is it a nice and solid structure, but it is also incredibly creative just how Shadowgear had managed his parts. I mean, just the head and torso really sell it to me. And it just gets me wondering, like, what kind of stuff I could do with my collection, because I never would have imagined anything like this. And at the same time, pull off building such a solid figure. And then finally, in terms of the concept, this MOC receives another 5 out of 5. It's pretty clear Shadowgear just wanted to make a very nice looking MOC, to which he did, while also pulling off some crazy designs and giving the MOC its own sense of identity. I mean, just by looking at it at first glance, I could presume that this MOC represented some sort of significant character, and apparently it does. It's a deity of time. And well, all that's missing is that spinning dreidel feature that I know has to be in there somewhere. But just because I can't see it doesn't really make me look at this MOC any less than I do now. So with that said, we're left with our final score. And what's that? It is once again a perfect final score of 15 out of 15. Whoa! 2 MOC Spotlights in a row with a perfect score. Isn't that crazy? Congrats for making it onto the MOC Spotlight again, Shadowgear. I'm not surprised considering the kind of crazy stuff you pull out of your butt with these MOCs. But your influence is strong. And here's my message to the rest of you viewers. Do not let this MOC intimidate you. Do not let this score intimidate you. Let it influence you. Let it inspire you to a point where you believe that you could probably come up with something like this too. And I don't mean you create your own deity of time out of black and gold parts or anything like that. I mean you build your own creative piece of work. Put everything you got into it. Throw all your best ideas out on the table. Think of all the possibilities that you have with the parts that you got. And then post the results on the message boards at board.ttvchannel.com under the LEGO Creations category so I could have a look for myself and determine whether or not I think it's interesting or creative enough to be featured on a future MOC Spotlight. That is right, folks. That is the only way you can make it onto the MOC Spotlight is if you do what I just said. Make something cool, post it on the boards, and I'll take a look at it later, and I'll give you what I think you deserve. So for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.